2 years ago, I was invited to do a dialogue with the Dalai Lama on socially engaged Buddhism in Frankfurt. And at the end of that, at first I said to them, why are you inviting me? Why not somebody from Germany? And they said, well, we don't have somebody that... And so I Googled German social engaged Buddhism, and it came up with Bernie Glassman. And that's because way back I was working here, but I haven't for a long time, and I thought there may be many others by now.
Play with two hands. And this guy's the chess monster.
You wouldn't believe that we've known each other for 100 years, although we just met now. Whoa! Oh! Where did your visions come from? Okay, I'll try to remember. Let's ask a few. After the dialogue, it was, you know, as with this Holiness of Dalai Lama, it's always big numbers, 15,000 people or whatever. Some people came to me and said, would I help promote social engaged Buddhism in Germany? I started to come to be like a magnet. I'll give talks, and I talks about the work I do. But people know that I've been involved in social engagement, so they come, and then I connect them to each other because they're interested in social engagement. I say, well, who among you has a project you want? And I'll connect the people.
University Heights will be next. University Heights next.
This is the oldest photo here. This is from Bernie's Abbott installation in 1981. These are all the people from Japan who came to honor Bernie and to recognize the creation of, which is really the beginning of American Zen.
I'll talk about it, but it's in some sense like making an internet where everything is connected, but of activists, of spiritually based activism around the world. For me, socially engaged Buddhism means to serve others. There was a man, a Japanese founder, a Japanese teacher, founder of the Tantric Buddhism, Shingon sect, who says that the way you can tell the depth of a person's enlightenment is by how they serve others. And so I like to define socially engaged Buddhism as that which is serving others. The enlightenment experience that Kobayashi is talking about is the realization of the interconnectedness of life. If I'm working for the homeless and I'm doing it just to feel better, it's not socially engaged Buddhism for me. But if I'm working for them because I see the hunger and the needs, then it is socially engaged Buddhism.
I own buildings and I manage about 1,000 apartments, and most of those properties I've developed myself. But my avocation is to work with social action in my community, and I felt that there was no spiritual development in social action. There was something missing. People were wounded healers. People were doing good work, but yet their families were messed up. And so I started looking. And to make the story short, I found Bernie.
I knew him when he was a very formal, very tough Zen teacher. Very tough. Fanatic sitter. You know, sit hard, do retreats, go after an experience of enlightenment.
This is my third retreat, and the first time that Bernie asked me to come out here, I absolutely rejected it. I said, you know what, I don't need to feel hungry. I've been hungry.
The way I've been working with people that want to study Buddhism with me is based on three tenets. One, the first, not knowing; second, bearing witness; and third, loving actions. And the first, not knowing, means not being attached to any of the ideas and concepts. So we have many ideas, many concepts. And normally we're attached to certain ones. We say some are bad, some are good, and we hold on to some. And we live our life according to the ones we think are good and that we're holding on to. Within the history of Zen, there have been many techniques for helping people to let go of their mind, to lose their mind, to forget themselves, to be open to what is. And I use methods like taking people to places where their mind can't figure out what's happening, the streets, Auschwitz. So there are many ways of coming to this position. And I think once we can get to the position of where we're out of our mind, we've lost a handhold on given ideas and concepts, if we then could stay in that position for a while, new things will open up. And those new things will, I think, turn out to be loving actions. When you go to sleep tonight, whenever you go to sleep, do it with your shoes on. That's the second piece of philosophy. If you can carry more is better than less. If you can't carry, don't do it. But you know, it's like sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you like a second blanket. I'd like to move, you know, a little darker by the river. You should be able to find some nice bedding places. Don't worry about being arrested. The most they'll do is say, move on. And the move on for us will be the ferry. This is a nice little village for us.
Yeah, it's cozy.
Sunrise is 5:15, 5:30. Somebody will be up for that.
Good night.
The environment is so intense, you know, it just pulls you out of yourself. So I think, you know, that was the plunge quality, that it really pulled us all immediately into the moment, and all our ideas about this whole thing just kind of dissolved, and you're kind of in that survival phase, you know. And so I think that's really when the plunge begins.
As you trust in God, He's going to make everything remain as He will.
After one day of being on the street, I was more tired than almost anything else that I do. Because, you know, there's no relaxation. You always have to be aware. Because something could come out of around the corner that you have to deal with. You always have to be aware of what's going on, and it's exhausting.
I haven't done a street retreat just by myself. I've wanted to for many, many years. And each time such a thing has arisen, there was always somebody saying, well, can I join you? So I have done it with just 1 or 2 people, but never totally by myself. I'm now 72 years old, and last month I did maybe my last street retreat in Lower Manhattan. It turned out that that place where I did the street retreat was where I did the first one at the same time, April, Easter, Holy Week. 20 years ago, so it was the 20th anniversary. Is I have bad arthritis, and it rained and it was cold, so I don't know if I can keep doing this. I talk about it being, I think it's my last, but maybe if I do it again, it will be just by myself. And then things come up, and all of a sudden, I'm out on the streets again.
How are we going to solve all the problems in the world, Mr. Stadler?
Yeah, I don't believe in solving all the problems of the world. I don't believe that can happen. But I believe that you got to do things about it. So the way I like to look at that is I look at my body. If I look at my body, all kinds of stuff comes up in the body, and it would be like saying, how do I solve all the problems of my body? Imagine that I had some delusion where this hand considered itself separate from this being, which I call Bernie. So, and this hand maybe calls itself Sam. So there's Sam, there's Bernie, and this hand thought of itself as Mary, and also separate. And now, let's say that Sam gets gashed, a big gash happens runs into maybe the edge of a table, and it's very sharp, and it gets cut, and it's very deep. The blood is pouring out all over. And Mary looks and says, oh, poor Sam, bleeding. And maybe I should do something about it. And then Mary says, well, I've never studied medicine. I'm not a nurse. Or I'm not enlightened. How can I take care of all those kinds of things? Or if there's a sense of separateness, there will be discussion of what to do. And the discussion will be either wind up helping or not helping, and they'll come with all the arguments of why it's good to help or why it's not good. And this hand may say, you know, what if there's the possibility that we are all interconnected, and if I don't help, then this will bleed to death and I'll die. So I should help just so that I'm in better shape, because there's a chance that those are all arguments. Those arguments only come up when we're separate. If the interconnectedness becomes real, those arguments don't come up. This bleeds and this does something.
Hi, it's Bernie for the mayor.
He came into Yonkers and took over a former bakery. And he told me that the Zens really are bakers. And he told me that he wanted to expand the bakery, and that the street behind the bakery, he wanted to take over that whole street to make what he called his Grayston Family Inn, where they would be able to put poor people and give them lodging. But more than that, they would give them life skills. They would teach them so they could be able to live good and useful lives. Bernie took this bakery, and they were doing $75,000, $80,000 a year in business. And they started growing. They went to $125,000.
Lots a year, why not? That's what we're telling them.
I'm what they call the honorary chairman today. So I'm not involved too much. But I think they're doing $2 or $3 million worth of business today from the bakery. And the profits are going to all the foundation, to their AIDS program, to the Grayson Family Inn, and all the things that we have. He's got a good heart, and he wants to help people. And where else in life, as you go through life, if you can't help somebody, where are you going to be?
Yeah, I'm fine. Tired.
Me too. Me too.
Come on. You got a spot here?
Two old men together, yes sir. It's getting us.
Yeah. Gonna walking around too much.
Wow.
As a Buddhist, I feel more comfortable saying I'm involved in socially engaged spirituality than in socially engaged Buddhism. But I also say that I'm a Buddhist because there are many Buddhists that say, that used to tell me, not so much anymore, but they used to tell me, as a Buddhist, you can't do socially engaged work. That's not Buddhist. And I wanted to show them, oh, well, I'm doing it, I'm Buddhist. So I'm opening cafes that are more family-oriented, where families that are homeless or very poor and have children, they would want to come. Many families are afraid to go into soup kitchens. So I'm creating a family-oriented place with beautiful music, with games for children, and where everything is, the food is free, and you don't know who's homeless and who's wealthy. So anybody can come. And the person serving you might be a homeless person, might be a millionaire. You don't know. I opened a model, a prototype in the United States. Where we are now is I'm living in Massachusetts. I opened one there. And now the idea is starting to spread, and there will be one soon in Munich, and looks like there'll be one in Berlin, and maybe one in Bonn.
In de eerste plaats wilde ik terug naar Auschwitz. Niet omdat ik er geweest was, maar omdat mijn familie daar allemaal geweest is. Mijn ouders en opa's en oma's. En die zijn er allemaal gebleven. En ik had al heel lang in mijn hoofd dat ik er eens terug wilde gaan. En toen hoorde ik van de retreat van Bernie Glassman. En al een paar jaar loop ik met het idee van misschien ga ik nog wel eens. En nu dacht ik van, ik ben zover.
We go to Birkenau in the afternoon. And at some point, each of us is going to go and take a chair, a cushion, a mat, and we're going to make our circle where we're going to sit. And we are going to be in that circle for some time every day through Friday. We stay in Birkenau. We don't go away. And we get closer and closer and closer from day to this thing called Auschwitz. That's bearing witness.
It doesn't take me more than 5 steps onto the grounds of Auschwitz to say there's no possibility for there to be a biblical kind of God who cares and who loves and who takes care of you and who we expect to, you know, be kind. God as a verb is not a thing. It's a process. And once we understand that, we can come to terms with some of the more difficult questions about God, like how can God permit evil to exist, as if God wanted evil to exist. But when we look at God as a verb or God as process, then the unfolding of that process is what it is. And it's not a desire or a will that's being expressed. As process, now we see that everything that happened at Auschwitz is a function of everything that led up to it. And then we begin to appreciate the very small things we do in our lives can be things that lead to the mentality of Auschwitz, or they can be things that lead away from that mentality.
God is an interesting word, and of course in Buddhism we don't have a concept of God as some kind of physical entity, but I think in many religions also God is not looked at that way. God could be looked at as that which we do not know. So I talk about not knowing, we could call that God, the state of not knowing. And in Judaism and in Islam, God cannot be known. Everything is a manifestation of God, but God cannot be known. So that kind of definition comes close to a Buddhist concept of not knowing, and everything arising out of that not knowing, everything arising out of emptiness.
Frida Singer, Mordechai Singer, Golda Singer, Moshe Singer.
Israel Coleman.
Franz Rodenwald.
Ladislav.
Jan Rodkitsko. Stanislav Rodkitsko. Stanislav Rodkitsko. Steven.
For me, the best way of practicing now that I've learned is by serving others. And meditation is extremely important for me, just like eating is very important and breathing is very important. But I think the best way to deepen the enlightenment experience is by serving others. And that's why I promote socially engaged Buddhism as a way of practice, as a way of deepening the enlightenment experience, deepening the sense of interconnectedness of life. Buddhism in the West is growing from just taking care of itself to taking care of others. So it means a deepening of the state of Buddhism in the West. The Arab world is a sign of the times for the whole world. So it's this uprising, right? This energy that's coming together. I don't think any of us know exactly how that energy is going to play out, but it's manifesting. I'm planning to work in Palestine, in working with this rising energy. Yes. We used to work there, and I know people there, And I know some people that I really like what they're doing and how they're doing, and they've been influenced by the Buddhist world. The man that I want to work with, he's Christian, tremendously influenced by our Buddhist world and uses a lot of similar techniques that we use, but he's teaching nonviolence and he's training people. So I know him very well, and I'll work with him. I certainly think that my Buddhist practice prepared the soil in the right way. And then getting old, I think, helps. Sometimes you see people getting old and they get more cranky, huh? They get more uptight, but if the soil was prepared right and you get older and nothing's that important. And but I never got to the place where I feel like I don't want to do anything anymore. You know, I still want to do things, just in a different. I don't want to be in charge.
I think the thing about Bernie is about his nose. Bernie has an ability to be able to show people that after everything is said and done, you have to be able to laugh. You have to be able to see the light side of things, because that's what life is all about. Is serious and it isn't. It isn't and it is. And Bernie is just so ordinary. Like somebody said that he's extraordinary.
There's a lot of kids now that are spending all their time on computers, sharing with each other and feeling with each other. And I think that's wonderful and will produce certain energy, but I would encourage them to physically do something. You know, whatever it is that grabs them. Not just to talk about it and not just to write about it on the web and to share ideas, but physically do something.
Luister ook naar onze uitzendingen op Radio 5. Iedere dinsdagavond, talkshow Oba Live en Hemelsbreed. Ga voor meer informatie naar onze website www.bosrtv.nl.